How you guys doing? We're talking about Michigan for the Cup Series. I'll give a shout out to the Brad Keselowski guy crucified at some point in this video. Don't worry. When we look at the Michigan race for this weekend, this is where I'm at with my DFS stuff, with my NASCAR. When I go back and look at things, Gen 6, Gen 5, Gen 4, just throw that stuff out. Okay, we use. I think if you want to use simulations or if you want to look at previous races, I think Bumpy Daytona and New Atlanta correlate very well if you want to look at how those races played out, not in terms of the drivers, but what situations worked out there, lineup. I think that's really about the only correlation that I would actually use looking at old stuff. With the next gen, I'm only looking at next gen races, okay? And we will look at current form, which is what I like to look at, okay? I want to bring up last year's Michigan race because you might not remember how not only tilting this race was, but all the things that happened in this race. So if you look at the race and you look at speeds and you look at where these guys were at, who were the fastest guys at Michigan last year? It was the same group of guys who were fast at the intermediates last year that just had bad luck. And I'm not saying that because I played them every week, but the Joe Gibbs cars had the fastest machines at Michigan. Kyle Busch started up front. We have Christopher Bell starting up front. We have Denny Hamlin up there. We have Martin Truex Jr. up there. So what happens in this race? Well, we need to remember that it rained the night before this race last year. And why am I bringing this up? Because I think there is a lot of things to learn about this Michigan race that we can look at looking at last year's race that we can also look at by looking at the current form. When we look at last year's race, it rained the night before. So we had a competition caution early on lap 22. Not only does that mix things up whenever we have a competition caution, because basically that's 3 guaranteed yellows, competition caution, stage 1 and stage 2. It also changes the strategy. It mixes things up. And so a lot of your front runners understand that, hey, to win this race, we need to pit here at the competition caution. Let's get the tires here. Let's leapfrog some people later. So you have a lot of individuals who are fast that get caught up in the first big wreck in this race. If you remember, J.J. Yeley stays out. He starts in the middle of the pack. Not necessarily his fault, but we have a gigantic incident involving the two 10, 15, 18, 21, 34, 38, 45, and 47. A lot of fast cars in here. Specifically, Kyle Busch, probably the fastest car that weekend, is taken on lap 24. He gets damaged in this race, okay? So we have another restart. So at this point, we've had 2 yellows. We've already swapped the lead a couple times on pit road. We're noticing that you cannot pass the leader, okay, unless you're just unless the leader is drastically slower, which happens one time in this race. You're not passing the leader. This race is being won and decided on pit road. That's really what it's coming down to. If you can get off pit road in first, whether that's be taking 2 tires, whether that's having the fastest first or the fastest 4-tire pit stall, whatever the case may be, that's how you're leading this race. Okay, so we go green again. We have some more wrecks, yada, yada, yada. Well, who's fast in this race? Who's leading this race? Who has true speed in this race during this race? It's the Toyotas, Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Martin Truex Jr. Who else was fast last year at intermediate tracks? Well, Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain is up there. Okay, so these are your guys battling for the race, battling for the lead. Okay, and then these guys, kind of flip-flop and swap. But when you see that you have Chastain, Christopher Bell, Daniel Suarez leads a little bit on strategy, gets the lead at some point when people are staying out. He stays up front. You're able to maintain your running positions. If you get up to the front, you're able to maintain the running position. Does that necessarily mean we're chasing guys up front to start this race? You got to make your own decision on that one. I want to target the guys that I want to target, and they're most likely to be starting up front. I'm not going to want to chase a gigantic amount of place differential because this is Michigan. Speed is pretty much determined where you're at in terms of practice, in terms of Q. Like, you're just not going to get that much faster outside of strategy and stuff. I understand we have William Byron and Hamlin go from 12 or go from 26 to or 20th to 12th. You have Alex Bowman going from 30th to 9th. Keselowski, 33rd to 15th. But we have a lot of yellows and a lot of strategy playing out in this race. A lot of guys leapfrogging. Not everybody pitting at the same time, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, so we keep going. Your 2 fastest cars basically all day. The guys who have been up front after, Kyle Busch and them wreck out. And all the other big boys are having issues and stuff. Hamlin's basically running 4th all day. Hamlin, Bubba, they're in the top 5 all day. You know who else is in the top 5? It's Christopher Bell and Chastain. These guys are kind of battling, swapping positions, and fucking Christopher Bell puts himself in the wall off of Chastain's bumper. Pretty much kills both cars. So you have a huge amount of fast cars in this race that are taken out. You have Kyle Busch taken out early. You have Cristobal killing himself off of turn 4. You have Cristobal killing Ross Chastain. Guys who were up front all day. Suarez ends up getting damaged, and Chastain gets a penalty late in this race as well that really just throws him down. He gets a penalty in pit lane. And so when you look at this race here, you have Kevin Harvick, showing up out of nowhere, leading 38 laps, winning this race. Well, that was really mainly the strategy, and you had fucking literally the top 6 guys outside of Bubba and Hamlin run into trouble, kill themselves, like just moved out of the way. Okay? So this was an unexpected win for Harvick. Like, there was nothing showing that Harvick should have won this race. And if this race goes without guys taking themselves out, without guys killing themselves, Harvick has no chance of winning this race. We're just saying that. I'm not being mean, just being honest here, okay? So when we look at this race, and let's go ahead and we'll look at this. You can look through it for yourself. So this is the finishing position for last year's Michigan race. You can see that we have laps led pretty much distributed pretty insanely between 6 guys, mainly carrying the bulk of them. As I said, you have place differential coming through, and you pretty much have nearly half the field just eliminating themselves. You have this huge crash here. Huge chalk was taken out in this race. Kyle Busch was heavily owned. Bell, Chastain just killed themselves in a pretty wild race. A lot of lap changes, a lot of lap leaders, and just a lot of things there. Anyway, so we're talking about that. So when we look at Michigan, okay, yet again, we're here, okay? Now, I understand. I get very much tunnel vision. I'm trying to get that in check. Not necessarily in check, but this past weekend at Richmond, missed it. Hate when I do that. Absolutely fucking whiffed it. I was too heavy on Larson, too heavy on Byron. They had shown... data had shown, short tracks, everything this year, that they were going to be set. You just couldn't pass it at Richmond. Leave it to me. The one race where I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to change. I'm not going to play the guys up front, because that fucked me over at Martinsville earlier when I played all the guys up front. I'm just not going to do that. They can pass. It just didn't happen. Anyway, so same thing there, same caveats. Hey, might just be wrong. Who knows? But at least I'm telling you what I'm doing here. At least we're on Chris Buescher. We identified that Chris Buescher was going to be fast. Didn't expect him to win, but we didn't even consider Keselowski. So the guy asked me about Keselowski in the live show that I crucified for about 7 minutes, asking me a dumb question on Keselowski. Congratulations on making me look like a baboon. Sometimes it's going to be that way. Anyway, so what do I do at races like this? Well, these are sorted by who was the best car at Pocono, who had the most laps spent in the top 5, who had fast laps incorporated in that, who had a fast time in pit lane, a lot of things like that. So that's why you don't see Hamlin as the best car or ranked or listed here, because this is not finishing position. This is who was the best car at Pocono. William Byron, Truex, and Hamlin in that order were the best cars. If you watch the race, those are basically your top 3 all day. If you watch the race, that's how it is. So we identified that entering Pocono. Okay, now why am I not moving Pocono into this column? For me personally, I don't like incorporating Pocono data into current form for intermediate tracks. I think it's a great addition to have on the side, and you can use this to accurately have an idea of how people are going to perform at Pocono, but I don't like incorporating that necessarily on here. I'll have it on the side, but my main focus is Dover, Kansas, Darlington, Charlotte, Nashville. I understand that's quite a ways away in the back, but that's where we're at. We're getting the same people anyway, and this is, we can use this as a stepping stone as well for Michigan, okay? But this is a primary. I want to look at it in terms of where these guys are at the intermediate tracks, because, hey, guess what, dum-dums? if you're fast at intermediate tracks, you're going to be fast at Pocono, and you're going to be fast at Michigan, okay? It's not a 1-to-1. I understand Pocono and Michigan are not a 1-to-1 equal. That's why I'm not going to Michigan this week and be like, how do these guys run at Pocono? Because that's not correlated, okay? However, you know what is correlated? When you have extra data to rely that, hey, this data correlates with Pocono. This data correlates with Michigan. Wow. They all kind of correlate together. It's kind of crazy. So you can't kind of group them together, or you can separate them, whatever you want to do. Anyway, so Yet again, this weekend, entering Michigan. And yet again, the reason why I talk about last year's race, because, hey, Toyota was fast last year because they were fast at these tracks last year. That's just how it is. Okay, so when we're entering this weekend's race, who do I want to target? Who do I want to look at? I haven't even looked at salaries yet, so this is the first live reaction of the salaries. I'm not even looking yet, but who is the people that I want to target? I haven't looked at salaries yet. William Byron, Martin Truex Jr. Who is fast? Who has shown speed? Why are we not highlighting stuff here? What is going on? I spelled Byron wrong? I did. I spelled Byron wrong. So we got William Byron, probably the best fucking car in this field. If he's not the highest on salary, we got to play him again until he is. Okay, Truex most likely gonna, and I'm not just going off of Pocono, but hey, it's these two guys. We identified them that we wanted to target them at Pocono. It seems like we're gonna be targeting them again here. Okay, what about Hamlin? How has he done? Hey, Hamlin is right up there. Okay, when he has a good race and he's not killed on pit lane or have early damage, he's most likely to be a top 5 contender. Okay, Harvick will be here, very similar to Pocono, to where Harvick is a top 10 car. We can project him to be anywhere from 12th to 8th. If he gets that bump on pit lane, if he can get the strategy to work like he did last year, we can see him contending. But he's not going to be a priority for me. He's the 10th place car. Now, if he shows us place differential or a situation where if he finishes anywhere from 12th to 8th, that'll pay off his salary, hit value, or do better than value, then yes, that's when we want to play him, okay? Who else? Christopher Bell. Hey, he's right there. I think he has a higher upside than Harvick. Similar situation. Yada yada yada. That's just how we're gonna be. You know who I'm not playing. You know who I'm fucking not playing. It's the Fords. Why would we play the Fords? I understand. We just had this fucking discussion last week in Richmond. I understand it. God damn it. We got to have some short memory here. Okay. You take that, you note it, you understand, hey, when we head back to the short tracks, maybe let's try and... But then again, like, we go back to Martinsville, and people are just going to move each other out of the way, so it's not going to be the same situation to where you start up front, you finish up front, because it didn't work that way at Martinsville earlier in the year. You're going to have guys being more aggressive. I digress. Anyway, you can see the madness in my mind. Anyway, I see fucking nothing. No reason to play the Fords. I don't understand that at all. Like, let me change that. Not the Ford. Penske. Why would we play Penske? Well, you know... I think, and, you know, sometimes, I mean, that's why, like, look, I talk shit, people talk shit to me, that's fine. Go ahead. You open yourself up to criticism doing this stuff, that's fine. But entering Pocono, I was very skeptical on different people thinking that the Fords do well based on their aerodynamic capabilities, based on what they're bringing to Pocono. You know, you got them long straightaways, you got some high speed like corners, and so same thing here at Michigan. Like, Michigan is a high speed racetrack. Okay, you need to be able to run well in dirty air because you're getting a lot of dirty air if you're in line here at Michigan because everybody's basically running the same line. You need to have a low percentage of decrease in speed in terms of drag. They're just not showing me that, man. They are just not showing me. How's Blaney? Like, right on the cusp, but we don't see him. Do we see, realistically, outside of pit strategy? Because that leaves it open for everybody. If you get the lead on pit strategy, you can't pass the leader. That's just how it is. But can we realistically see Blaney carrying the speed alone to beat Bell, to beat Larson, to beat Hamlin, Truex, Byron? I mean, maybe. He did at Charlotte. He had the third best car at Dover. Couldn't get the lead there, but he certainly had a fast car. You know, maybe. If Blaney shows us good qualifying, if he shows us good practice, who cares about the groups? Just look at it in the context of who's racing around in that group. If he has a good pit stall, maybe Blaney, maybe Harvick, but that's it. Like, we're certainly not playing Cindric. You know, we're most likely not playing Burton here because he's going to probably qualify anywhere from 20th to 25th. Yeah, we're just not going to do that, you know. We're seeing, you know, issues with Bowman, just can't get out of his own fucking way. He's just not fast. Seeing Elliott is running out of time here. You know, guy that I think you can target that'll probably be lower in which I guess I should look at salaries in a second, but Bubba Wallace, he makes a lot of sense here. Remove him from the pressure. early in the race, don't get the pole above it. Please God, Booty Barker, don't give him a car fast enough to get the pole. Just get him a car fast enough to start 7th. Okay, those are his best days. If you set him up for too much success, he's gonna psych himself out of it. All right, so let's go through here. Let's look at salaries now. I've kind of gone over this discussion of who I want to target, which is, hey, ironically enough, it really does kind of line up with the Pocono things. Not because I'm going off Pocono, but that's just because what we kind of identified here. Those people that I want to play at Pocono, identified here, kind of the same people I want to target at Michigan, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Larson's 10.8. We don't have any 11K drivers. Interesting. Hamlin's 10.7. Truex is 10.5. Interesting. Byron is 10,000. Seems like another fucking week I'm just going to play Byron. Another week I'm going to play Bell. Okay, so looking like for me, Bell, Byron together, 75 for the last 4. You throw Hamlin and or Truex. I don't think you can do all 4 of them. 4 to be 45. We got a 48 min salary. So most likely looking for me right now, thinking about just having an idea of how I want to do some lines. Byron, Bell, Hamlin makes a lot of sense. $6,500 for your remaining 3. You can pretty much play whoever you want up top. Salary is pretty soft. Any other mate like Reddick 9.2. That's kind of weird. What is he in terms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's the 11th highest priced guy, or 11th in pricing. Might have some value there. Chastain. What's Chastain doing? You really do much? Is he falling down? Might be a bit of a misprice here, although this is concerning. I gotta look back at the practice speed at Pocono and see how his race went. Just see what made him run so poorly at Pocono, when a lot of this indicated that he should have ran better at Pocono. We're going to have to look at that when this video is over. But yeah, Bubba Wallace 8.8. Let's see, Big Bad Brad. Certainly there. It's very similar to Harvick. Basically just a cheaper Harvick. Chris Buescher, which we're kind of already seeing very similar. Yet again, kind of just a cheaper Harvick. I think Gibbs is getting closer and closer to a win, man. He's getting closer and closer. He's getting more confident. Pocono is a very fucking difficult track. We said that in entering the weekend. We saw a lot of people talk about it. Gibbs running consistent top 10 speed anywhere is good at $8,000 because you can almost pay that off there anyway. The fact that we're seeing Ty Gibbs get better and better, real chance he can get a win this weekend. So we're seeing Trackhouse kind of take a step back. Suarez has just been fucking abysmal. Oh my god. Let's see. Austin Dillon still slow as fuck in general. Priest, McDowell. This is just kind of where we're at. I kind of just defer to this stuff. If I see anything out of the ordinary or see anything based on projection wise, then I'll adjust. LaJoy 5.5, Gillen 10.3. Oh yeah, Austin Hill is he making the start for Beard Motor? Who is he? Or is he in the 31 for RCR? He's got to be in the 30. What number is he in? It is the RCR, and that's, oh Lord. Yeah, 62. So we got Beard, which is basically RCR. He ran it last year, right? Pretty sure Austin Hill. Yeah, he ran 33 last year for basically identical upside here. We'll probably see the 33 because, look, I want to bring this up real fast because we haven't been able to talk about Beard Motorsports since the plate races. When you look at Austin Hill in here, we'll do this right here. I'll visualize this for you. When we look at his Cup Series starts, and this is taking out his D&Qs as well. So this was last year. This was Michigan. When you look at Austin Hill it is pretty wild how bad the 62 car is. Actually, here, let's do one more thing. And I'm kind of rambling right now, but this is my point. When we look at the 62, because who? I gotta pause this. Hold on, before I start talking. Hold on. All right, I was like, who ran Atlanta? I was at the fucking track. Who's in? It was Austin Hill. When we look at the 62, okay, why are they here? They only run the plate races, so RCR clearly has a hand in this, or a colleague, one or the other. We're seeing that Austin Hill is very much very much the Chevy driver for either the 31 this year, most likely, or next year, or this is 62 aligns a lot more with RCR. Anywho, I want to say this real fast. When you look at Daytona and last year's races as well, with the 62, whoever was in those as well, because I play a lot of the 62 at the plate races. When you look at the damage that this team gets, you got to remember that this is not a full-time team. They borrow crews and stuff, and they're clearly not borrowing the crews from other Cup teams because they're racing. When they run into an issue, Atlanta, because I was able to watch this in pit, I was able to watch this in person. They broke a control arm, I just went blank. What is it called? Suspension, whatever it is. I just went blank. The thing that, the damage, how the damaged vehicle policy is 7 minutes because NASCAR figured out that it takes the teams about 6 minutes and a half to repair the control arm or whatever when it breaks, and you typically see, the good team's able to fix it and the bad team's able to not to. The D&Q for the Daytona, when Travis Pastrana got involved in the wreck that took Austin Hill out, and the wreck at Atlanta were not major incidents on the car. It was not major damage. Yes, it broke suspension parts, but Cup teams are able to fix those damages now in a certain amount of time. The 62 car, because it is not a real team in terms of, all these guys are full-time, all these crew members working these cars day in and day out. My hypothesis is the crews don't have the training or the know-how to be able to repair the damage on this car in that time. That's why they DQ'd at Daytona, because that car, yes, it went through the grass, but it didn't have that much damage. Okay, it had enough suspension damage. Yes, you got to repair that, but they didn't qualify. They just took it to the garage. At Atlanta, same thing. The DVP policy is not on this team's side. That was my main point. Not important to this weekend's race at Michigan. I'm just saying, when we go to Daytona in a few weeks, when we go to Talladega and the 62 is there, I think that's the biggest risk for this team. It's not the speed because they're bringing the cars. It's not the drivers. It's just that this team does not have the ability to repair that car in the damaged vehicle policy time. That's my main thing that I've been wanting to say, and I forgot that the 62 is racing this weekend, so that was a perfect time to mention that. So, back to salary, we got Corey LaJoy 5.5, we got Gillen 5.2, we got Austin Hill, or we got Gillen 5.3, we got Austin Hill 5.2. Ty Dillon is 5,000, so we're most likely not getting to him. Yaley is 49, Bilecki is 48. It seems to me that if you're paying down, you pay one of Yaley or Bilecki, unless Ty Dillon is starting last. If you're not punting, you're most likely using two of LaJoy, Gillen, and Austin Hill to fill out your lineup. And that's the Michigan preview video. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, you can tweet at me. You can leave the comments here. If you want to support me in any form or fashion, it is the beginning of the month, so you can join the Patreon and get access to my NASCAR stuff for the entire month of August. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for the support, and I will see you guys in the Xfinity Series video and in the live shows this week. I'll see you guys later.